Hey guys, welcome to Power BI Week. I'm glad to have you here with me in the 5th edition of this event. This is the first one in English, and we had 4 other editions in Portuguese, where more than 100,000 people participated and started creating dashboards like a pro. And I'm looking forward to teach you everything I know about creating amazing dashboards. So first, let me know where you're from in the chat. Put in the chat, I'm gonna read later, okay? And also, if you have an Instagram account, post to Instagram stories and mention me at @LeoCarpa. Then I'm gonna share. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Leonardo Karpinski. I'm a guy from Brazil that teaches Power BI using flower shirts. I have more than 20,000 students in Brazil, Portugal, Angola, Mozambique, and a lot of other countries that speak Portuguese as well. And now I started creating content in English as well. These are some of my students, and I love them. I really love them. Okay, so let me show you first what we're gonna build during this week. It's gonna be 5 sessions actually from today until Friday to build a sales and financial dashboard from scratch. I'm gonna give you everything in order for you to create the same dashboard we're gonna create here, right? Let me show you. This one. So today, right now, on this Monday, we're gonna create this page for revenue and margin analysis. And everything here is interactive and dynamic. For example, if I click on a supplier, I can see the revenue, gross margin, and percentage of gross margin for this supplier. So it acts like a filter, right? Also, we're gonna compare the revenue by sales team and category of the products. For example, food. Let's compare only for food, okay? Or only online sales. And then you click there, everything starts to be filtered. This is gonna be today. Tomorrow, we're gonna build an income statement like this, or profit and loss statement, as you wish. Then we're gonna add here information for expenses. Then we can create this income statement with gross revenue, cost of sales, gross margin, expenses, and operating income. Okay? Also, we can apply some filters on this slicer for the month, and so on. And later, in the last lesson, we're gonna build this financial simulator. And then we can make some what-if analysis like this, for example. Let's suppose our unit price goes up 30%, and our variable costs go up as well. What happens to the income? Okay, I have 29% of a better income. It grows 29%. But if my fixed costs or my expenses go up as well, then I can not have profit anymore. Okay, and how this reflects in our income statement. That's it, okay? So in 1 week, you'll be able to create this dashboard. Nice, right? Let me give you some notes, some important notes here about our event. Let me go to this. Okay. So first of all, we'll have 5 sessions, as I said, right? 1 for each day until Friday at this very same time. So right now in Brazil, it is 12 p.m. UTC, 3 p.m. In India, for example, I have a lot of Indians that are following our lessons. It's 30 p.m., right? The same time from today until Friday. These sessions from today until Thursday are recorded, but I'm on the chat right now talking to you. So ask me anything that I will answer in the chat, okay? But on Friday, I'll be live in video. This is gonna be a very nice challenge for myself, but I'm very eager to that. All the database and materials you can find in the link in the description below. This link right here. And also, this is where the recording is gonna be as well. Let me show you the materials, right? So we have all databases, and also there is a very complete, very nice tutorial in PDF that follows every single step that I will make here. Okay, very nice. It's almost a book. So these are the materials. Assets for images, for background, database for our case, some guides for visual guides, and this is going to be your tutorial. Right, what else? I will ask you for not trying to reproduce at the same time with me. Watch first and practice later. You have the recording and also this PDF that I will try to show you later, right? Just let me close this. Okay. Also, another important note is the following. All recordings are going to be available until Sunday. So watch until Sunday and practice until Sunday. I will provide my PowerBIEX file, which is the solution for Power BI, for those who watch live on Thursday. So be sure to mark on your calendar to save the date on Thursday and save the time to be here with me in the chat that I will give you my PowerBIEX file for that solution that I showed. And a very important note, the last one. Pretend you paid a large amount of money to participate in this event, okay? And be committed during this week. Why? This week can be a game changer for your career. I'm pretty sure about that. Now answer me in the chat the following. I want to understand how is your knowledge, your experience with Power BI. Type 1 for those who never used Power BI, 2 for beginners, 3 intermediate, and 4 for those who are expert. Let's see how many we have for each of these categories, okay, of knowledge, of experience. And if you never used, don't worry, okay? Actually, you are in the right place. You are in the right place, and congratulations for being here. You are starting a very promising career. It's a very promising area. A lot of companies are requiring people that know Power BI, that work with Power BI, and of course, that are experts in Power BI. And do not be afraid of learning new things, okay? That's how you can grow in your job, by doing things other people don't do. And Power BI, for now, is starting on companies, not all companies use, right? Most of them use Excel, other tools, and so on. And Power BI is going to be a game changer for the companies as well. Okay, let's go. Let's start our theory first, okay, with the basics. Let me ask you some things like this. I will put some questions here. First, what is Power BI and business intelligence? Power BI is a tool for Microsoft to create analysis, right? Data analysis. And BI is from business intelligence, which is a process for collecting, analyzing, and monitoring information that you want to compare, you want to track in your company, to track your KPIs, your measures, your metrics, and so on, okay? The main goal for a BI project is to help you, to guide you, to take better decisions, to gain insights about your business and take better decisions, right? That's the main goal. Power BI is from Microsoft, right? And in what areas can I use Power BI? For this, let me show you some examples of dashboards. So these are some dashboards that I published on the Power BI Cloud, on the Power BI service. And actually, there is no restriction for any area in order to apply Power BI, in order to use Power BI. If you have data, then you can and you should use Power BI. Sales, human resources, logistics, production, engineering, medical units, there is no restriction at all, okay? So do not worry if you only see dashboards for finance or for sales. This does not mean that it works only for those areas. Those areas are the most common areas, right? Every single company has a financial area, finance people, and sales people. That's why you see this most of the times. So for example, this one is from my complete course. Let me go here, okay? And it's a very nice dashboard. Let me just put it right there. A very nice dashboard. Of course, all of them are fully interactive. So for example, this is for tracking KPIs, indicators for a food supplement company called Heavy Power Nutrition. So for example, they sell whey protein. If I want to compare, if I want to see all sales for whey protein, I can click on the bar and, for example, drill through to the sales, to the details of the sales. What else? I can make some cross-filtering, right? Let me go back. By clicking on this value for North America, and also if I had the control button, I could make cross-filtering for 2 or more visuals. Let me show you another one. This is for logistics. This is tracking the fleet. It's a fleet management dashboard. Gross revenue over time, quantity freights, goods value, value for goods. Also, I can change pages like this with buttons. Okay, fleet costs. We have also analysis for our trucks in here, and so on. Another one for human resources. Number of employees, number of hires we made, resignations, the turnover rate, and we can make some very nice, we can use some very nice features like this, for example. If I click on this button, it shows all information for hiring. If I go back and click on this button, for example, then only information about resignations. So we are using buttons to change page, to change also the visualizations we have. Another one, sales versus target, very nice as well. That I can make some what if analysis as well for the unit cost, for example, or unit price. Let's suppose my products have a higher unit price. Oh, I come closer to the target. So I had to go to increase the unit price by 40%, for example, in order to pass our target, to achieve our target. This visual is very nice. It's called the composition tree, where you can go drilling down. You can drill down to any of your categories, your attributes, okay? Another one for finance. This is also a financial dashboard with a cash flow statement here. Let me change. A cash flow statement like that. And this one was built by my students in Brazil, okay, during a boot camp we did a few months ago. I like this a lot. Let's see. This is the same company from our first example, Heavy Power Nutrition. I'll talk more about this company, about these dashboards, and about my students, the dashboards that my students built on Thursday. Okay, on Thursday I'll show more examples of this. But I like this a lot. It's very clean. I like dark backgrounds like this. We have this pane where I can change the page. Let's see here. Very nice. Another one that I like a lot is this type of analysis for RFM, recency, frequency, and monetary value. Okay. That's it. So some examples just for you to understand that there is no restriction regarding a specific field or area, and you can build the way you want, however you want. You can place, there is no restriction also for designing the dashboards. It's all about being creative. Let me go back here. And now, let's continue. Let me go back to the questions. So let me hide this. Okay. How can I download Power BI? Let's go. There are two options, okay? Two options. First one that I like the most is by using Microsoft Store. If you have Windows 10, go with Microsoft Store. By opening in your Windows machine, like this, Store, Microsoft Store, and then you find Power BI Desktop there, or going in the web to the Power BI PowerBI.com, right? And then there is an option to download products, Power BI Desktop, download for free. If you have Windows 10, it's going to open the store. Or, let's say you want to download and install in a manual way, by another approach. Then you can go right here. And then you select your language and your version for 64 or 32 bits. Very, very easy to download, very easy to install. Just next, 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 you're done. And it's 100% free. It's completely free to download and install Power BI. So that's the next question, right? Let me see. How much is Power BI? It's free. It's always free for everything? No, of course not. So there is, let me put this way. You have to pay a pro license, which is $10, $9.9, okay? By month, by user, when and only when you need to share reports on the cloud in a safe way. What is a safe way? A safe way is when you share a report, like this, for example. Let me go back to the cloud, to the service. When I say Power BI service, Power BI online, or cloud, they are the same thing. It's a web page. It's when your report is on the cloud, is on the Microsoft servers. Okay, so this is on the web. This report is on the web, and then I can access with my mobile phone or in any device that has connection to the internet. So when I am on the web like this, okay, and I want to share this with my colleagues in a safe way, then I have to pay $10 a month. Myself and my colleagues as well. But there's a way to share in a not safe way, in a public way. When you go to this button, share, embed report, and then publish to web. Be aware that when you do this, your report is going to be public, as it says, right? So it's going to be public, and anyone with the URL, with the link, can access the report without asking for credentials. This is the only way a free license, a free user, can share some reports, can share any report. Nice. During this week, we're not going to talk too much about the service. We're going to talk about creating the dashboard. So before publishing, okay? Before publishing is our scope here during this week. Let me close all of this. Okay. And I think that's it. Okay. Let's talk now about a very common question, very important one, which is Excel versus Power BI. Which one is better? None of them. Actually, both. Both of them, they work in different ways for different purposes. But, for example, you cannot input values in a cell in Power BI. Power BI is not a report-based tool. Okay, so Excel is a report-based tool. So what's the main advantage of Excel? It's simple to use. You can input values. You can work with spreadsheets, right? You can build even systems. You can build, some companies use Excel for ERP. But there is a cons here. The cons are that you have to do too many copy and paste techniques, too many manual work sometimes, right? If you build a report in an Excel file and you want to build another report in whatever, another report, you have to repeat lots and lots of transformations and so on. On the other hand, Power BI is a model-based tool. And you can create any number of reports using one single data model. You build a data model first, and you can create a lot of reports on top of this data model. So it takes a little bit more time to build this data model, but it's going to be better in the future. It's going to be you have less manual work in the future. Once you define the model, okay, you can build these different reports with the same data. So you automate all these transformations, all your calculations, and so on. This is very nice. This is very good for how do you say? Productivity, right? Productivity, yes. You become more productive with Power BI. Okay, during the development of our dashboard, I'm gonna compare both tools again. All right, so let's change the topic. Let's change for this. So I like always to say, I like to talk about the 7 pillars, what I call the 7 pillars for mastering Power BI. Okay, so what do you need to understand? What do you need to learn in order to build reports and to build dashboards like those I showed in a robust manner, in a robust way? You have to understand about these 7 pillars. Let's see. I'm gonna show actually this image. I think it's better. Let me see if this image is better. Yes, it's better. These are the 7 pillars for you to master Power BI. Let me go one by one. So first of all, okay, you always have to extract data from somewhere, from a database, from the web, from any source, right? So you have to know how to extract this data. You have to understand the data, you have to extract, and of course, how many times you extracted some data from a data source or a database and it was clean. It was always structured in the proper way. I think never. For me, never. I always have to transform. I always have to shape this data in a structure, in a correct structure, in order to work inside Power BI or inside any tool. And there is a very important step, the third one, which is the modeling phase. This is something new when you compare Excel and Power BI. Remember that I told Power BI is a model-based tool. Not only reports we build in Power BI. We build data models. Actually, we build reports on top of data models. So this is a very crucial step. It's something very new for those who are coming from Excel. We're going to spend some time, a lot of time actually, in this phase tomorrow afterwards. Okay, so what's the data model? What's a data model? It's just a bunch of tables that you can relate, you can connect by relationships between columns. So, but the way you build these tables is that makes the difference, is what makes the difference, okay? You have to know what tables are going to be my lookup tables or my dimensions, what tables are going to be my fact tables or data tables, and so on. And of course, when you are modeling, when you are creating your data model, many times you have to go back to the transformation phase and transform the tables again. So for example, in order to build a lookup table, sometimes you have to join tables or maybe to split tables. Then this process is not linear. You can go back and you can go back. Sorry, you can go back many times you want. After building your data model, you start building your measures. You start creating your measures. It's the calculation phase. Inside Power BI, we use the DAX language in order to build these measures. The DAX language is kind of similar to the Excel functions. Okay, it's a functional language. We're gonna see that the basic functions are very similar to Excel. Sum, mean, max, average, count, and so on. So here is where we track our KPIs. Actually, we create our measures to track KPIs, and then later you create your visuals, your report, right? And we know Power BI is great for that. I just showed some very nice examples for creating amazing visuals, amazing dashboards. After this, from 1 to 5, after this, you go to the cloud. So from 1 to 5, you do all this process inside Power BI Desktop, the software we download and installed. in our machine. It's a local development. It's our development environment. After we finish, we're not going to send this file to other people. Don't do this. Don't do this, okay? It's different from Excel. In Excel, we are used to take an Excel file and send by mail, or maybe create some presentations on PowerPoint and so on. In Power BI, it's different. It's another way of sharing. It's by using the cloud. We publish the report to the cloud, and we distribute inside Power BI, the Power BI service, inside the Power BI service, using the Power BI service. Okay? For this, I must have an account. It can be a free account, right? You just need to have a pro license when you want to share in a safe way, as I told you right now. After this, then we automate all of this process. So this is a very nice feature of Power BI, that you can schedule the automatic refresh for everything. So let's suppose our data changed, some increased the number of rows, or changed the values. So I don't need to do all of this again. You do only once. If you keep the same structure for the tables, then the seventh step is going to perform all the necessary updates in an automatic way. This is nice, right? That's what I told you about being productive. With Power BI, you increase your productivity. I think that's it. Let me go back. OK. Just let me remind you about this. Right here. So from 1 to 5, we use Power BI Desktop, and it's 100% free. Don't worry about this. You don't need any account to download and install Power BI Desktop. And from 6 to 7, we use Power BI Service. Then you need an account, but you can start with a free account. We're going to talk mostly about steps 1 to 5 during this week, right? For those who are curious or want to know more about steps 6 and 7, I recommend reading this article, this blog post from my blog. All right. Let's start using Power BI. So the first phase is to extract, right? So let's just extract our data. Let's see what's our database, how it works, what tables we have, what files, and so on. So let me show you. Database. We have 4 Excel files, okay? In this scenario, in this case, we are simulating like an extraction from the system. Let's suppose our analysts go to the system, to the ERP system, and find there a way to extract the report. That's how we are working in this case, right? We have a accounts table for our income statement, our expenses, a product table, and a revenue table. We're going to start with the revenue and the product today. Let me show you the revenue file, the revenue information. It's for sales, okay? It's a sales table for the year 2019 for a company, whatever company it is. Actually, this came from a real case from one of my clients. That of course I just changed the numbers and so on. That he wanted to have an income statement using both information from sales and information from finance. For example, the revenue part of the income statement, the top of the income statement, he did not want to grab from the finance team. He wanted to grab from the sales team. For some reasons they had there. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna mix information from sales and finance. And on this sales report, we have the order date here in the first column, due date, order number, the product ID, the salesperson, okay, that made the sales with his name, his supervisor, his or her supervisor, and the team, their team. The number of items, this this customer bought. Actually, there's no customer defined, but there's an order number, okay? But the number of items, the unit price, and the total amount, the sales amount, which is just a multiplication between these two columns, unit price and quantity. So for the same order number, let me sort. I think we can have, yeah, we can. We can have more rows. We can have more than one row. Yeah, there's a lot here. There's a lot of rows in, for example, all of these are for the same order, right? They have the same order number. So it's the same customer that bought a lot of products and in the same order. That's it. Okay, but what are the products? Where is the product information? The name of the product, the category, and so on. They are in another table. They are in a lookup table. So this is our data table, our fact table. I'm going to explain better about data modeling, dimensions, fact tables tomorrow. Okay, so we have this data here for sales, and also all information about the product are gonna be in this file, like this. We have the product ID, the name of the product that I just masked, the group, the category, the supplier, and the unit cost. So we have here the information for how much we paid in order to buy this product, okay? To buy and everything about buying the product and all taxes and so on. So with the sales amount and the unit cost, I can start to compare sales and costs in order to create our gross margin analysis, right? Okay, that's it. Let me show you the other two tables just for you to understand. So the accounts table. This is for our income statement, as I said. Okay, so we have here all accounts, the detailed accounts for sales, cost of goods sold, salaries, charges, water, all expenses for marketing, cleaning, and so on. Here you have the subheader, okay? It's an aggregation of this account, right? And also I have a header account table, like this. This is we say in Brazil, the mask. It's how we're gonna mask our income statement. It's gonna be the first accounts that is gonna show in our income statement. The header, gross revenue, net revenue. We don't have the discount for this case, okay? We're gonna ignore discounts. So from gross revenue, we go to the cost, and we can calculate the gross margin. And the gross margin is just revenue minus cost of sales. That's it, okay? We're not gonna use these two tables today, only tomorrow. Now, let's open Power BI. Let's do it. I'm gonna let me put this file to the right. It's gonna be where I'm gonna consult, from where I'm gonna copy my information, just for safety. Let me go back to the first tab. I'm opening Power BI, so the first time you open Power BI, it's gonna show a yellow box. Let me go there. Okay, like this, okay? And then the first thing you have to do is to get data. You can get data from this window, or maybe I like to close this, because first I'm gonna show you some important parts of Power BI. Let me put this right there, okay? And let me go. So we have three windows, 3 tabs, 3 visualization windows, whatever. This one is the report tab, okay? Is where you're gonna build your visuals, the report. See this dotted line? Is where you place your visuals. You cannot place anything outside this line. You can change your resolution, the size of this area by going here. But I do not recommend. I prefer to use this proportion, which is the same for television and so on. This is the data guide, the data, I forgot the word, the data tab, the data, where you can see the columns and the values in the rows, okay, as in Excel. And the last one is the model window, where we build our model and create the relationships between tables. First thing, get data. Get data. You can get data from Excel directly here, or from Power BI datasets, SQL Server, and so on. We're gonna connect to an Excel file, but let me show you the get data and more here. It's very unlikely that you don't find your data source here. You have maybe hundreds, maybe, yeah, I think so. A lot of options for connecting. Excel, CSV, XML, JSON, and SQL Server, Oracle. Our case is Excel. Excel is on the top. It's the most used one, right? Let me go back right here. It's easier for me. Financial dashboard, database, revenue first, okay? Revenue. Let me drink some water. Revenue. It's gonna show all sheets and all tables you have in this file. I have only one sheet. Mark it. And then something very important. Remember our second step in the 7 pillars, transformation, right? So click on this first before loading. Click on this first before loading. You're going to transform, you have to transform your data. It's going to open Power Query Editor. Power Query Editor. This is our best friend for preparing and transforming data. You can see you have two windows right now, right? You have two windows. Work first on Power Query, then you close and apply, and then you go back to Power BI Desktop. You go back to Power BI to create models and visuals. Do not try to work with both windows open, okay? So I recommend you to maximize this window. And the first thing, you go to the View tab and check this formula bar. Look at that. Formula bar, it's going to enable this formula bar. And it shows the code for every single transformation you make in Power Query. This language is called M. A letter, just a letter. M language. It's the language for Power Query. Do I need to be worried about this right now? Not at first, okay? You don't need to do any kind of, usually you don't need to do any kind of transformation by typing the function name because you can use your mouse. And 95% of the cases, the transformation steps you're going to perform can be done with your mouse. So but it's good to see the function and try to understand it step by step. Look at here. Is this table in the right structure? We have some rows that are empty, right? The first 3 rows. If I try to remove these rows with the right click, it does not work. If I try to impute values, it does not work as well. Power BI is all about columns, and all of this is done for safety reasons. So you cannot, for example, type by accident something and change the value. Okay? So in order to be safe, it's a little bit more, you have to click to search for the functions a little bit more, to search for the transformation steps. But it's easy, okay? I'm going to show you how easy it is to transform this table. Look here. What's the best approach, in my opinion, in order to remove rows or to remove empty rows? Is by filtering the column, filtering a column. And then you choose one of these columns, for example, column number 3, which has the order number information. And if you know that every single order, every single sales must have an order number value, it cannot be empty, then I can choose this column to remove empty. Oh, but what happens to my original file, to my database, to my data source? Nothing's gonna happen, okay? Don't worry about Power BI writing something in your database. Not gonna happen. Power BI just reads, only reads. So let's suppose that I did this step and I made some mistake. Let's try Control Z. Control Z does not work. Oh my God, it's not working. Wait, there's something much better than Control Z, which are these applied steps. Here it's like macros in Excel, but much more powerful. You can go back, for example, to change the type or to promote headers, and you see everything how the table was before you applied your transformations. And if you made some mistake, just click on the axis, and then on the X, and then you remove this step. You remove this transformation, and you go back to the last one, like this. Just go back now, column 3, remove empty, and there you go. All steps are going to be there. And you can, this is a very good way to document as well, right? Let's suppose you go back 1 year later to the same file, to the same Power Query transformations, and then just by looking to the steps, you can remember what you did. They have names, and also you can rename if you want to make it even more intuitive, and so on. Okay. Now, what's the first row? What does it mean? It's the header, right? I can place them in the header. What if there was an option for doing this automatically? Of course there is. Here in the corner, use first row as headers. There you go. Very nice. Very nice. Look at this. This is something to be aware. It's kind of dangerous. Did we perform any type of change type transformation? No. This is automatic. Sometimes it can make mistakes. Power BI tries to help you, but mainly for those who are with different regional settings. For example, in the US, it's different. The date is different, right? It's month, day, year. In Brazil and a lot of other countries, is day, month, year. And if you try to change the type automatically like this, Power BI can make mistakes if you do not consider the correct regional setting. And also with the decimal places, the decimal separator. I'm using, let me see. Let's go to the right. Okay, you see there that in my case, I'm using a dot for a decimal separator. For decimal places, right? There are some places that we use the comma. So always check if Power BI did this transformation in the right way. For example, let's suppose you want to make a transformation, use your locale, not the default locale. Then, before changing this type, you can remove, for example, let's say I'm going to remove, and by going with the right click inside my column, change type. Instead of using decimal number for now, right now, you use locale. Using locale, and then you choose using which locale you want to change this type. For example, decimal number, and I'm going to use locale for English US, for example. Let's see. Yes, it worked. Okay, it worked. Okay, I'm going to ignore this. But I know that some people can have some problems with this. So be aware that's just a regional settings option, just a regional settings configuration. Transform. I did some steps too quickly. I just removed that change type. And then by selecting all rows, all columns, sorry, with Control-A, Control-All, go into the Transform tab, detect data type. It does it automatically. Of course, just check it, right? In my case, I'm using day, month, year. In your case, might be different, and might appear some errors in these transformations for the date. Then do what I just did. Ignore, remove this change type automatically, and change type using locale. That's how you deal with this. Another way to deal with regional settings, and I'm going to be very pedantic or emphatic about this because it's gonna appear some problems for you. It can appear some problems. Go to the file options. I don't know why it's not translated. File, options, options. Okay. And then there is an option for regional settings in two places in these options. Here, English, English, and there, Portuguese, Brazil. I can change it for English as well here. So that's another way. All right, our revenue table is all done. It's all transformed. It's all correct. Now, let's close and apply to see what happens. Close and apply. It's going to perform these transformations, and it's going to load the tables inside Power BI. How long? Okay. See, right there. There is another table, right? There is the first table. Our first table is there. And then you can start building some visuals in a very easy way. For example, let's say I want to compare, I want to see the sales amount, the total sales amount. You can choose any visuals you want. For example, a card. Okay, a card. So a card is the most simple one. There is only one value for it. And there are three options in order to put this field in the visual. How? First one is by checking. Second one is by dragging and dropping the fields. And the third is by dragging and dropping to the visual. I prefer going this way, right there, right there. Okay. This is our total revenue, okay? Our total revenue, our sales amount, or our total sales amount, however you want. Let's say I want to compare this by sales team. Okay, so click outside the visual, click outside, so you can create another one. For example, the bar chart. Let me place this bar chart right there. And then let's say I want to add to the axis, okay? My sales team. Where is it? Sales team. Team only. Okay. Team. And on the values, my sales amount as well. Okay, there you go. Retail, wholesales, and online sales. Let's click on a bar, online. See the value there? It's changing. Oh, let's say I want to make this axis bigger, larger, the text larger. Also, I want to put the labels. So you go to the format option. Every single visual has this format option. And then you can change, for example, the y-axis. Let's say I want the text bigger, 12. Okay, also the x-axis, no, x I'm not going to change. The data labels on, there you go. Let's make it bigger. Value decimal, no, this one here. Okay. Let me go back, let me say again about these decimal places and so on. You can see here that inside my report, on my visual tab, my visual window, my report window, it's using the comma as the separator. But when I go to the data tab, it shows as a dot. I swear that I don't know why this is happening. I tried to install the English Windows, English everywhere, but for some reason, inside Power BI, it's using the comma. I think it's a bug. For this version, I don't know. When I publish, Then on the web, it changes to a dot. So don't worry about this, it's just a different convention Power BI desktop is using, okay? Let me go back to the data tab. It's very nice here because you have all the information for the columns, and a very nice option is to select a column, for example, product ID, correct? If I want to know how many different products I sold, just by clicking on the column, you can go down there and you'll see the number of rows of this table, right? And the number of distinctive values for this column. So I know I have 662 products being sold, that were sold. This is very nice as well. All of this in this window, it's only a visualization window, okay? You cannot make major transformations here, only renaming columns and removing columns. All transformations you must make on your table must be done inside Power Query. How do you open Power Query again? Let's say I want to change a transformation or to add another transformation. Going to the Home tab, Transform Data. By clicking on there, you see it's similar, the window, right? It's all grayed, you see the numbers, you see the columns, but they are different. Look, this is Power BI, this is the Data tab, and this is Power Query. Do this comparison sometimes in order for you to understand where you are. Not confuse, oh, I'm here, let me see what I can, right? So be familiar with these different windows. In the beginning, it's going to be a little bit more complicated, but it's normal. All right, what else can I say about Power Query? For now, I think that's it. Okay, let me go back, close and apply. Let's go back here and let's save the file, okay? Let's save it. I'm gonna save it, I'm gonna call it Power BI Week. Power BI Week number 5, 5th edition. When you save, what happens? You can go to your Windows Explorer, and then you can see the file there. It's a PBIX file, okay? Enable this, very nice to enable, it's good to enable the extension in our system, right? Okay, so also there is another very nice information about the size. Look at the size, 1.6 megabytes. If I go to the database, you can see, almost 10 megabytes. Why the difference? Because Power BI works by compressing the columns, okay? It separates each column in a space in your memory, in the memory of your machine, by compressing and encoding. So it's going to be much faster than Excel, and therefore the file is going to be much smaller. This is good. That's why Power BI is very fast. It works in memory and with this compression and encoding. All right, let's go back to Power BI. And now I'm going to just put some notes about extraction, about our first pillar, first step. So where does data come from? In this case, in our case, we are using an Excel file that was extracted from an ERP system. But this ERP system is connected to a database. So this database is called OLTP database, or transactional database. Okay? Usually, data is there in the companies, right? In the ERP, in the database that the ERP is connected to. But the way we connect to this database can vary across organizations, mainly due to security reasons. Not every company is going to give you permission to connect directly to the source, to the database. So that's why sometimes you have to do some other approaches, right? By extracting or by filling out manually and so on. Let me know your case. How is your case? Put in the chat, please, how you connect to your data today, okay? I will give you 5 options. Let's see how we are divided here in this lesson. Option number 1, connecting directly in the transactional database. Option number 2, connecting to the data warehouse, to a data warehouse. So let's imagine your IT or your BI team built a data warehouse. It's better, right? For those who know about how is the BI process, a data warehouse is much safer and better to connect compared to a transactional database. Or maybe by an Excel file connected to the database. Sometimes the IT team creates a query inside an Excel file and grab the data to this Excel file. That's an option as well. 4, extracting reports from the ERP system, in our case. Or by filling out spreadsheets manually. Also, it's our case for the expenses file. So put in the chat. I will be reading live with you, okay? About this last option, filling out spreadsheets manually, is the expenses file. I'm gonna open and show for you. We're gonna use the expenses file tomorrow. So look at that. A very beautiful Excel file, an Excel table, right? Everyone loves this. With the months on the columns, with subtotals and totals. This is very good for us, for humans to read. But for the machine, it's not. We're gonna have to expand a little, sorry. We're gonna have to spend some time tomorrow in order to clean this table, okay? It's a little bit more complex to clean this table and use inside Power BI than it was for the revenue table. Tomorrow. Okay, now let's go with the product table. I want to compare sales amount by product, by category, by group, and so on. So let's import our product table. Let's get data. And it's an Excel file as well. Excel. Database. Product. There you go. Always, but always, remember to transform first, right? And here I have an option for a table. There is a table defined inside my Excel file, or the spreadsheet. If you have the table defined, go with the table, like this. I'm gonna click on that and then transform. Let's see. Okay. How would you deal with this in Power Query? Sorry, in Excel. If you had two files in separate spreadsheets or even two different files, how would you compare revenue by product? For example, by group. Maybe in Excel, you would make some VLOOKUPs or some XLOOKUPs in order to bring the product information inside the revenue table, correct? By creating other columns. That's how usually we do this in Excel. In Power BI is different. In Power BI is all about data modeling. It's all about creating relationships between tables. So we're going to be able to create a data model connecting revenue, the revenue table, and the product table without putting one information inside the other. By doing this, by keeping them separate, in separated tables. But there's something we have to be aware of, that is the column that's going to be connected between these two, right? Which one is the column that has information for the product in the revenue and the product in the product table that I can relate to each other? The product ID. Right here I have a number in the revenue table. And on the dimension, on the product table, which is a dimension or a lookup table, okay? I'm going to talk more about this tomorrow as well, but just to understand, a lookup table is what defines your business entities, customers, products, accounts. It's your who, where, what, when, for example, okay? These are the lookup tables or dimensions. And the revenue is your fact table, is where you have your data. That usually is very tall, lots of rows in the fact tables, right? In the revenue table, they are tall, but usually they are thin with less columns. And the dimensions are the opposite. They are short in terms of rows. You do not have millions of products, right? But they can be very wide, lots of columns. Tomorrow, I'm gonna make some notes about this. This is very important, so that's why I'm talking today, tomorrow, and so on. Okay, time? 4 minutes, okay. The product table, we have product ID, but it's in a different shape, in a different structure, in a different shape, let's say, compared to the revenue. What can we do? We have to make these two columns in the same structure, in the same pattern. That's the correct word. Let's then grab only the number from this column, right? We don't need this p key, this prefix in the name, in the value of the ID. How do we do this? In Excel, we can do this as well here, right? Right-click, replace values, and then we could replace these two letters and the space by nothing. I prefer to go to the Transform tab, and there is a very nice option to extract. Extract is what you want to keep. I want to keep everything after the space, or P key space. Text after the limiter. Text after the limiter. I want to keep the text after what? Space. Correct? Okay. Now, the data types have to be the same as well. Let's just change this from ABC, which is text, to whole number, 1, 2, 3. And there you go. Now you have a product table that I will just rename to product. I don't like this D. This D is for dimension, but let's keep for tomorrow. And the revenue is right there. Let's go to the Home tab and close and apply. And then I will show you here what's going to happen. Now you can see we have two tables, product right here, and revenue. How can I create a visual that compares sales amount by group? Let's try. I'm going to build a table like this, a table, okay? And I'm going to use group and sales amount. There you go. Let me make it bigger. The text, grid, it's under format, grid, and then text size. Let's see if I can do this with this tool. Yes, it works right there. Oh, God, did not work, like here. So we have sales amount that I can make the sort order by descending, okay? And with flowers is the group that sold the most. How this worked? How could this work without doing anything? We have two separate tables. Imagine in Excel, remember Excel. How can this be done if we did not bring this group column to the revenue table? Because then our model has something different. Our model has a relationship between these two tables, correct? This is something new that I like to upgrade. It changed a little bit the colors, and there are some new features for this window, this dialog. Let me click on this relationship. Look at that. Product ID from revenue and product ID from product. And it says it is a relationship that goes from the product table, one to many, going from the product table to the revenue table. This is how we have to work in 99% of the cases. Okay? Relationship there are one to many. The star means many. One to many, and single direction. Where the group, the product table filters the revenue table. A relationship is nothing more there than a filter that goes from one table to another. And we will always want the lookup tables to filter our data tables, correct? So that's how you have to work in most of the cases. Let's suppose I didn't have this relationship. Let me remove this relationship. Let me see if I can do this just by clicking with the right click, okay, right click, delete. There is no relationship between these two tables anymore. They are just two separated tables, two disconnected tables. Let's see what happens in our report. You see that the numbers are the same and equal to the total. Look, everything 9 millions. Why? Well, the group table is in the product, the group column is in the product table, right? Product. The sales amount is in the revenue table, in two separated tables. That's why the product table could not filter the revenue value. So let's create again our relationship. Let me go here and go in there. Just by clicking on the product ID, either way, there is no order, okay, no correct order. You click, drag, and you have to be very careful where you release this column. Power BI is not gonna know that if you release, for example, in due date, it will allow. it will work here, but of course the values are gonna be all wrong. Let me go back. I can try to double click and then maybe edit it right here. Product ID with product ID. So many to one or one to many, same thing, just changing the order you say, okay, are the most used, what you have to always have to try to use this option, okay? Many to one or one to many, same thing. And the single cross-filter direction. Okay. All right, there you go. So just for us to understand a little bit better about data modeling, why one and why many? Why these names, correct? Let me show again right here. Let me just remove this. Okay, like this. One stands for a unique value in the product table. For example, this product ID is unique in this table. There is no IDs repeating along the rows. And this is a requirement. We always have to have a column that identifies our lookup tables or dimension tables. This is why there is a 1 here, number 1. And this star means many, or in other words, it's saying that our product ID is repeating along the rows in the revenue table. And we expect that, right? I expect that my products are sold more than once. That's why there is a star for many. It repeats in these tables. Always try to build data models like this. Dimensions or lookup tables and fact or data tables in a one-to-many relationships, single direction. If you don't know how to use both directions or many-to-many, don't use. Only use when you are 100% sure, aware of the consequences. Always go with this. This is safe, this is good, this is perfect, this is wonderful, right? Let's go back right there. Okay, this is the basics for data modeling. Tomorrow, as I said I think 10 times, tomorrow we go deeper to this. I like to save, always saving, not forget. And let me just put some notes to summarize what we just did. About transformation, okay, our second step, right? I'm gonna just copy and paste some information for you to have this later as well. The transformation step, our second pillar. We always have to we must go always with columnar structure. In Power BI, in Power Query, in Power BI in general, we cannot have in a single column two different types of information. It's always columnar. One single type of information for each column. There is no row. There is no row concept. You cannot reference C2, D5, so on. It's always a column. When you deal with real data, you have to transform, right? And Power Query is our best friend here. This is very nice also. You do this once. When the data changes, everything you did in Power Query is going to be repeated. It's going to be done. It's going to be performed in an automatic way. You do not have to clean your data again. Of course, if the structure is the same. If you add some rows in the bottom or in the top, whatever, all transformations are going to be automated. This is very nice. This is what makes Power Query so powerful as well. All right, let's go now for some analysis. Now we're going to try to build our visuals, okay? As in our reference. I just deleted this table, and we're going to spend some time creating some measures. Revenue, gross margin, revenue, cost of sales, and gross margin, and percentage of gross margin. Right? That's our 4 measures we're going to create today. Whenever you have some values to put in visuals, like we did for sales amount, you will try to always use measures instead of columns. In our case, we used column, right? A natural column, original column, which is the sales amount column. Okay, how can we compute? How can we create, for example, a calculation for cost of sales? We could go, for example, in the data tab, and here on this table, on the revenue table, I could create a column for cost, right? How? By multiplying the quantity with the unit cost, which is in another table. Let's do this. This is not the right approach, but I'm going to show you by using columns, okay, which is not the best option, but just for you to understand, because it's very natural for those who are coming from Excel to build some columns, to build new columns. So I like always to, if I'm going to create some columns, I like to go in this tab. In this dialog box, in this box, with the right click on the top of any column, new column, new column. With the control and the scroll from your mouse, okay, you can make the text bigger. And very similar to Excel, but you just give a name to your column. In Excel, you give the name later. Here, you give the name first. Let's call this cost, right? Cost. Yeah, cost okay. Cost of the sales, right? It's the unit type, the quantity column. See, it autocompletes, it finds, and you can autocomplete with double click in the name or the tab button. Tab times unit cost. But unit cost is in another table. How would you do this in Excel? XLOOKUP or VLOOKUP. In Power BI, as I have a relationship between these two tables, I can use a function called related. Related, and then I can grab the value from other table just by calling the name of the column. Unit cost. There you go. Close parentheses, enter. Okay, there you have another column. Look at this. Let's see the size of the file size, file size, or the size of the file. I have 1.6 megabytes, correct? I'm gonna save it now and see what happens to my size. 1.6. 1.8, increased. A little bit, but increased. So whenever I create columns in my model, they are placed in the memory of the machine, in the model. Okay, the model size goes up; it gets bigger. This is not good. This is bad for performance, and also there are other problems with columns that are for how they are computed. They are computed when you refresh the model, right? So they are static. They are not dynamic. If you want to recalculate using a filter, for example, in your visual, not going to work. So they're not good for some reasons, mainly because of performance. So I'm not going to do this. I'm going to grab this. Actually, let me go first with a more easier way, an easier measure. Okay, I'm going to build measures instead of calculated columns. That's what I want to say. Do not create columns. Use measures instead. Measures are something new for those who are coming from Excel. And in the beginning, they are a little bit more tricky because you do not see the value. Okay, so let's say I want to create a measure for sales amount, for the total sales amount, which I'm going to call revenue. How can I do this? I can go with the right click here, or maybe in the table name, okay, and new measure. What's the type of calculation Power BI did when we used the sales amount column? It summarized, right? It took all the rows visible and summed up. That's what we're going to do in this measure. We're going to call revenue, yes, equals to the sum of sales amount. Sum of sales amount. Like this. This is a measure. Enter. You can see that there is a different icon. Oh, nice, different icon. Let's see this value. Where is this value? How much is this value, right? I want to know the total revenue. If you try to find it here in the table, not going to work, not going to find. If you try to find anywhere here, also, the only way to know the value of this measure is by using the measure. So when I put, like for example in a card, the revenue in the fields, we're going to see the same value, 9.68. So why using measures and not columns if I already have this column? For some reasons. First, performance. Okay. Second, you can reference this measure for a lot of other measures, for any other measures. And third, which is a simple but a good benefit, is that if I don't want to rename my sales amount, but I want to call revenue, I can create this measure with the name that I want to use in my report, and I don't need to change in every single report this name. That's nice as well. Okay, as I said to you, okay, this is the column and this is the measure, correct? Same value, same calculation, because when I use the column like this, I can go right here in the fields, and I can see that the full aggregation is the sum. If I want to change to average, to minimum, to max, I have it here with the column. This is called implicit measure. Implicit measure. So it's good, right? I already have all the calculations. It's easier for me. No, it's not. You should never use, you should try to avoid. Never is a bit too I forgot the word, or whatever. Not never, okay, but you have to try to avoid using implicit measures. That's it. Try to avoid using implicit measures. Instead of this, use explicit measures. When you explicit what's the aggregation this measure is performing, like the sum. like the sum. If you go to the measure, to the visual that has the measure, that contains the measure, you're going to see you cannot change. You have to change or create another aggregation in the formula bar, in the formula for the measure. For example, there is a sound car passing by. Revenue sum, right? If I want the average, I would change this to average. But I want the sum, that's it. So always go with explicit measures, even if you think that, oh, doesn't make sense for me in the beginning. And for me as well, when I started learning, it didn't make sense. But then later, when you practice, when you understand the DAX language, by the way, this is DAX language, right? Then you start to understand, oh, really, explicit measures is much better than implicit measures. Let's save, and let me just recap some notes about calculations. So we're going to skip the pillar number 3 to talk about this better tomorrow. And let's go to the calculation phase. Okay? In the calculation phase, when you have to create measures, KPIs, and so on, then you use the DAX language, which stands for Data Analysis Expressions. Okay? And let me put this way for the options we have for using DAX. We can use DAX for creating columns, measures, or tables. So 1, columns, 2, measures, and 3, tables. In your opinion, and based on what I just said, what's the power of DAX? Where is the power? 1, 2, or 3? Put in the chat. Put in the chat. Tables are not used frequently with DAX. I prefer to create tables in the Power Query environment, okay? In Power Query. And columns, I prefer also to create in Power Query. And you have to be aware that columns consume memory. And you're gonna create columns only use it when you want to create any information that goes in the axis or acts like a filter or in slicers, in filters. Okay? Axis or filters go with columns. You cannot place measures in the axis. Measures are going to the values of the visuals. Measures are used for giving the size of the bar, for giving the height of the line, and so on. The values, the math. Use for math. Okay, measures you use for math. That's it. And tables I do not use in DAX. So of course, the power of the DAX language is on the second option, creating measures. All right. So let's finish creating our measures. We're not going to use sales amount anymore. Okay, we're not going to use it. We're going to use only the revenue. So for example, in this visual that I will keep, I'm going to replace this by this revenue. All right. Let me go right there and right here. Let me save it, drink some water, and let's continue. So how we are gonna create our cost using measures instead of creating columns, using columns? I'm gonna copy all this. Sorry. I'm gonna copy all of this, okay? And then I'm gonna delete this column, right click, delete. And let's try to create the same column, the same value, the same information, but using measures instead. Revenue, right click, new measure. Let's paste and try to enter. Didn't work. Oh my God, didn't work. Why? When you use measures, when you create measures, you need to aggregate the values. In this case, it's saying that, oh, you're trying to create a measure, cost, using the quantity, but for which row? I don't know. Which row? I don't have this concept of row, okay, of row context. When I create measures, I need to know which row you want. And when we were creating columns, I can know which row, okay, because columns, calculated columns are computed in a row context. I know which row I am iterating on when I am computing these values. On the other hand, measures, I do not know. I have to summarize or to make or to aggregate somehow in order to have these values. So let's try to summarize, right? To use a sum inside this value and close the parentheses there. When you press enter, it changes the warning, the error message. It says that the sum function only accepts one single column as an argument. If I close here, sum, right? And maybe do another sum. Is it gonna work? Let's see. I have one parenthesis extra. Let's try again. Sum times sum. No, it doesn't work. Whatever, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because I cannot. First of all, if the formula worked, the value would be wrong. I cannot summarize quantity and then summarize unit cost and multiply those. I have to do another thing, which is the following. I have to insert somehow a row context to this calculation. And there is a function in Power BI, in the DAX language, which is the SumX function. The SumX returns the sum of an expression evaluated for each row in a table. So, before summarizing, I have to compute this multiplication, row by row, correct? So I will have a row context inside this measure. How can I use this function? Oh, let me just compare with Excel. There's a function in Excel that do something similar, right? Which is the sum product, right? Or product sum. Sum product, I think. You first make the multiplications row by row, and then after this you summarize. That's very similar, but here it's much more powerful because you can have sum x, you can have average x, min x, max x. All of these calculations are done row by row, and then later, after they finished these calculations row by row, it does the aggregation you asked for. Sum x, it asks for a table, which is the revenue table, comma, expression. Now I can go with my expression, which is the quantity, right, times the unit cost, and I can grab the unit cost using the related function. Unit cost, like this. Now it's gonna work. Enter. It worked. Let's compare the value, let's see. And now let me introduce another tip, very nice tip, which is the following. Shift Enter to break the lines. And this, how do you call it? Slash? To add comments. Shift plus Enter to break lines. I like this a lot because it becomes much more organized, much easier to read the expression. Like this. I always like to break the line when I have a different argument. Just like that. Oops, sorry. Yes, like this. It's easier to read, right? Revenue. I'm iterating on the revenue table and multiplying quantity times unit cost that I grab from that table there, which is the product table. When I finish, then I perform the sum. Let's go and let's try to visualize this number. I'm gonna create another card and place the cost right here. Okay. Let me compare with my solution. Correct. And now, let's create the gross margin. Okay, gross margin in this case, as I don't have the discount, it's just one minus the other. Right click, new measure, gross margin, it's revenue. Look at this, look at this. I have two measures that were created, okay? Two measures, and I can reference them right now. I do not need to make all the process again with the sum and sum x. So this is a great advantage of using measures. Remember, one of the great advantages by using them in other tables, by referencing them in other measures. I can call them just by entering the brackets and revenue, tab, minus, brackets, cost. You can see it's purple, right? When it's purple, because it is a measure. Enter. Let's copy and paste this visual. I can copy and paste and change the value, or maybe create another one. It's up to you. Gross margin. There you go. Oops. And the last one, gross margin percentage. Let's call it new measure. Let's call it gross margin percentage, like this, GM percentage. Equals to, it's a division between gross margin and the revenue, correct? Whenever I have a division between two values, two arguments, or two measures, I prefer to use the divide function instead of using the slash. Divide, the numerator is gross margin, then you separate with the comma for the second argument, which is revenue. Yes, correct. Enter. Let's create another card, and let's put the gross margin percentage right here, 42%. Let's change the format, of course. I don't like this decimal number. Do not multiply by 100. Just click on the measure name, and then here you change to percentage. And I will keep only one decimal place. And the other three, they are all currency, right? You can select one by one and then change. In order to be more productive, you can go to the model tab, model diagram, model view, click on cost, select with control the gross margin and the revenue, and that's it. And then here you can change for those three at the same time. Currency. We will not use any decimal separator, 0. My currency, my default is reais. Let's change to dollars. Let's find dollars. English, United States. Decimal places, 0 again. Let's see. When you have this dialog for the next language, press inside there, or here you can minimize, or maybe with the Ask button. Okay, there you go. Let me save. And now let's reproduce our main page, our first page for revenue and margin analysis. I'm not going to use the cost, only these three. Okay. And now we are going to enter the visual phase, okay? The fifth step, which is the visual phase. Let me save it. For creating visuals, what's my approach? I have some recommendations. I'm going to give you some recommendations in order to build beautiful dashboards, in order to build dashboards that will impress other people. It's going to be very nice. Let's make some notes for you. visuals like this. Okay. My recommendations are the following. I have nine recommendations. I will go very fast, one by one, okay? So first of all, be concerned about design. It's not because you don't like design that other people should get a report from you that's not well designed. Okay, be concerned about this because it's very important. It's the first door, the first entrance that people are gonna see, right? If you have a beautiful design, you have much more chances that's gonna sell better, that you're gonna have the dashboard seen by other people. Be concerned about this. People like to see beautiful designs, beautiful dashboards. Identify your audience, okay? Ask how a dashboard is going to be used. So when you are developing a dashboard for the CEO, for the board, it should be different from people that work in the operation. They see different numbers. The dashboard should be different as well, okay? Ask them how much detail they need. They need a table, very detailed, or maybe just big numbers. Ask them. Know how your audience likes to see the numbers. Be aware of the way he or she analyzes today. First of all, when you start developing, draw a sketch. I like to get like this, piece of paper in the same format, and go with the client, the customer, and ask him, oh, let's place a KPI here, another one. What do you want to track? So we're going to keep the most important information on this corner and do like a Z. Like we read a web page like this, right? In a Z shape. Do the same here, okay? Place the tables in the bottom right. The detailed tables, for example. Another one, very important. Choose the right theme, the right colors, and keep consistency. Do not try to use different colors in each page. They have to have a meaning. The colors must have a meaning, and you have to be consistent. This, for me, is the game changer, the background, okay? When you use a nice background, you cause that wow effect that a lot of people like. A lot of people came to me, oh, I love your colorful dashboards. The wow effect. It's the background that makes this difference. Use icons and images. And here there is a very nice web page for you to download icons. Use them. They are free. You can download for free. And you can download without the background. So use them. They're nice. For God's sake, align all visuals. Do not make your visuals not aligned. This makes me nervous when I see visuals that are not aligned. Choose the right visuals. And for this, I have recommendations. I have two visual guides that you already can download in order to know what are the right visuals for each occasion, for each type of analysis. When I'm going to use a category on the axis, which visual should I use? I have some recommendations that I will give you in a moment. And of course, use a lot all visualization features that Power BI has. Tooltip, drill-through, bookmarks. There are a lot of nice visuals for the composition tree or for key influencers. There is now a new visual that makes smart narratives for storytelling. Use them, okay? I'm gonna show you some of this today and tomorrow and so on. All right, let's keep going. So about the background first, the background. Look at this. I'm giving you in the assets folder some icons, okay? And also a file for background in a PowerPoint file. I always build my backgrounds using PowerPoint. It's not hard to build. It's very, very easy. So for example, this is the one we're going to use, the main page. These are just some rectangles. Some rectangles that you draw here, okay? And you change the colors with the right click, format shape, and you can make some fields with gradients and so on. And then I have a blue rectangle, a green, and a pink. Of course, everything I'm going to place on this blue, I will keep the consistency between other pages. For example, I think we're going to use blue for revenue, right? The green is for gross margin, and the pink is for gross margin percentage. In all other visuals, you have to tell the same story. This is storytelling. You have to be consistent along other pages, along other reports, and so on. There's another option just with different colors, okay? Different colors, and you can change them however you want, as you want. For the second page, this one, and the third page, this. Of course, I draw these backgrounds after I draw my sketch. So first, I need to know where I'm going to place the visuals. Then I do this work. Also, there is another option for this, with these borders. You can use them. And here the colors and the code for these colors. I already have these files exported as SVG. Oh, let me go back. Let me open again. And after you finish, you go with, in the file option, save as, and you change the type, the file type, extension, to either SVG, if you have SVG, depends on your version, or PNG. I prefer SVG because it's a vector extension, right? It does not lose any quality. And I have them here. All right. This file is the theme where I define the colors, the size of the font, and so on. I'm gonna leave this for later in a moment. All right, and now I want to show you the recommendations for which visuals should I use in each case, in each type of analysis. Let me show you some examples right here. Let me open a new page, and then let's discuss which visual should I use in, for example, an analysis of product, okay, product and revenue, like this. Let me try to use a bar chart like this. And I'm going to use also a data labels. I'm going to place data labels there. There you go, revenue by product. Okay, another option for the same analysis. Let's copy and paste and change to this, column chart instead of a bar chart. Let's see another one. Instead of bar chart and column chart, I'm going to use now a line chart. And lastly, the famous and wanted pie chart. There are people that love pies, or we say in Brazil, pizza charts, like this. Which one is the best option for this type of analysis? 1, this, 2, this, 3, or 4? Tell me on the chat, what do you prefer? My answer is 1, the bar chart. For some reasons, right? First, compared to the column chart, I have to go like this, right? Product, and I have to scroll to the right. Not so easy. The bar chart I read in an easy way, and I can scroll very easily. The line doesn't make any sense in this case because there is no trend. There's no reason for this trend or this continuous line, right? There is no continuous, I don't know the word, for products. I cannot make them continuous like this. Lines are used more for time analysis, for when I have the time indexes, right? The date, the year, the month, and so on. And then I have these trends. So delete. And the pizza chart, and the pie chart or pizza chart, whatever, I think it's very clear that doesn't make any sense, right? For this type of chart, use it only when you have three categories. It's okay. When you have 3 categories, then it can be okay. Even with 3, maybe the bar chart can be better. Let's try to use, for example, instead of product, let's change it for theme. Yeah, it's okay. Then it's okay. But more than this, go with the bar chart. So bar charts for categories on the axis. Column charts or line charts or area charts when you have comparison over time. That's the main recommendation. If you follow this, you're going to be safe 95% of the cases. Don't try to use too complicated visuals or use, I don't know, maybe R visuals, Python visuals. If you still don't use the simpler ones. Go with the simple. The simple works almost always. Okay. Sorry about the PDF. I don't know what's happening. I don't want to pause this video and try to cut. So just look by yourself, okay? They are very nice materials. Let's go now and import our background. That's the first thing I'm going to do here is to import to use our background. I can close this already, okay? And let's go. How? By going to the Format tab without any selection, any visual selected. Go to the Format tab, Page Background. See, Page Background. Do not put anything in Wallpaper. Do not use Wallpaper. Wallpaper is for the outside part of the dashboard. Use Page Background. Add image. Add image. Assets. I'm going to use slide 1 for this. Oh, nothing happened. Wait, two more things you must perform that, in my opinion, should be default. For example, transparency, put to 0. And also, the image fit, choose fit. There you go. Then, with these 2 options, you can maximize, you can change the resolution. It's going to keep the fit as fit. Save it. I'm thirsty. And now, the next step that I perform always after importing my background is to change my theme, to change the colors, to change the background of my visuals, to change the size of the text, and so on. Let me put in here another field for legend. For example, let's say I want a category on the legend, category for product, okay? There you go. You have, for each of these themes, retail, wholesale, and online, how much was sold for drinks and for food. So we are selling here food and drinks, okay? Food and drinks. Wheat flour is our main product. And you can see that the colors do not follow our guidelines right there. So my theme has to follow the same colors, blue, green, and pink, and so on. How can I change this? I can change for the whole report without having to change one by one, visual by visual. Just by going to the View tab, and here I have predefined themes that you can use, or you can try to customize your current theme. Click on there, and then you can choose your colors, okay, your palette, some other colors for elements, the size of the text, backgrounds for the visuals, and so on. I already have my theme saved, and I'm going to use it because I have all these configurations done, ready to be used. Go there, browse for themes, and use this file, this JSON file. You have it already as well. Okay. Just these colors are not okay, but I think this is nice. This is okay. This is following my guidelines, I think. Actually, let me go to the customize current theme. I just inverted the color 2 with color 3, but it's okay. It's okay. No worries. Okay, let's go. I'm gonna place this visual right there and right here. It's just now putting the pieces together in the correct space. And you can see that I'm using the blue color and the pink color for revenue, but revenue is all blue. Gross margin is gonna be green, and percentage of gross margin is gonna be pink. So be careful. If the user sees like this, he can think that you're comparing revenue and percentage of gross margin, which not. So in this case, I have to do it manually, right? So let's go to the Format tab and Data Colors. Let's change the food for a darker blue, like this, maybe. Yes, it's fine. There you go. There you go. I also don't like this X title and Y title, right? I don't know why this is by default. Let's remove Format, Y-axis, uncheck the title, okay, and also the X-axis, uncheck the title. All right. As I have already my numbers, my data labels, I can remove, if I want, the axis maybe, or I can keep just to have some idea of this total value. It's up to you, okay? It's up to you. We can change the legend to go centered, position top center, for example, right? And there, that's okay. Let's go now for this visual down there. It's gonna be a matrix with the supplier. So matrix is this visual. Matrix is like the pivot table in Excel. Matrix, let me put this like this, bigger. And it's gonna be supplier on the rows. Revenue on the values. Gross margin on the values. And also gross margin percentage, like this. It's horrible, right? Awful. Let's change everything here. Let's change by going to the Format tab. When I am formatting a matrix, I like to put the style as none, like this. Now, let's make the grid. Let's put the vertical grid. No, I don't like it. Horizontal grid. Yes. Let's make the grid thickness a little bit. No, don't like. Row padding. Yeah, this is good. Making the row like this. Let's go to the text size and put this bigger for 12, maybe. Or maybe, yeah, 12 is okay. 12 is okay. I can make these columns larger just by going one by one, like this, okay. And the colors for my fonts are we have to change as well. Let's put the font colors in values. Values, font color, white. Background color, none. Alternate font color, white as well. There you go. And the totals are not correct. They are almost black. The totals are, I think, grand total. White as well. Okay, nice. All right, let's sort by revenue. And also, I can make some other things here for placing, for example, a bar for these values. It's a conditional formatting, okay? I can put some bars in the back just to have some idea of the size of these values. And on the percentage, I like to paint the background of the cell. So like this, you go to the values, conditional formatting, and here is data bars. Data bars for revenue. So what's the color of my data bar for revenue? It's this one. Yes, it's okay. It's the blue. Like this. Correct. For gross margin, let's go back there. Gross margin, conditional formatting, data bars. The positive bar is going to be this green. Okay. Very nice. And for this, I'm gonna paint as pink in different pink colors, different pink gradients. How? By going there as well, conditional formatting, and now it's background color. I don't like to put the percentage as bars. I don't know, my opinion. Color scale, okay, nice, but then let's change for a very, how do you say? Very light pink and very strong, darker pink. Diverging, maybe diverging, and put another pink in the middle. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. The darker, the larger. Okay, so my supplier Kappa Drinks is where I have the best gross margin percentage. But I sell more to Brothers Meal. All right, we are done now. Let's save it for now. And also in this matrix, I'm gonna add another information for the rows. I can make some drill down in the rows and also in the columns if I want. But for now, just for the rows. I'm gonna add the group also from the product table. Product, place the group right below supplier, and just make this a little bit bigger, like this, larger. There you go. Yes, perfect. Look at this. Now you can drill down, right, to the groups, like this. From Two Brothers Meal, I have wheat flours, yeast, flours, crumbs, and so on. If I want to drill down everyone at the same time, I can use these buttons right there. For example, this expands by keeping the parent, keeping the highest category, which is the supplier. Let's see. If you go down, all suppliers, I have the information for the group for all suppliers, right? I drill down everyone, every supplier. Go back. If I drill down like this, with the two arrows, it's like I didn't have the supplier in my visual. It's like I removed the supplier, and then I went to the group without respecting the supplier, without having the supplier right here. Go back. And this one, it's a single drill down option that I have to choose which of the suppliers I want to drill down. Let's say Kappa Drinks. I clicked on there, Kappa Drinks, and then I have only Kappa Drinks in my visual. And you can see that all other values were filtered. So be careful about this single drill down. It filters other visuals. Go back, remove this option, and save it. I always like to save it. Let me organize some things, my measures, because I don't like this to have measures inside a table, like for example, revenue table, mixing columns with measures in the same table. Measures, they work for the entire model. They do not belong to a single table, okay? They belong to the model. So I can have, for example, by going to the Home tab and enter data, I can create a folder or a table, an empty table, just to place my measures. And I'm gonna call this key measures. I cannot call measures because it's a It's a word that Power BI Desktop uses. Load. Just change the name. Let's wait. Where is it? There you go. Key measures, okay? I like to go to the Model tab and selecting all the measures like this and just dragging and dropping to the correct folder or table. And also, let me hide column 1. I'm gonna hide. Okay, when I go back there, I can hide fields and show it again, and you're gonna see that my key measures has a different icon for measures. It's a measures table. Very nice, much more organized. I will never create measures anymore in this table. Always on my key measures table. Of course, I can have more than one table for measures, okay? It's all right, it's fine. Let's continue. Okay, let's build our 3 main windows, 3 main KPIs right here. I'm gonna create one of them, and the other 2, I'm gonna create the operational revenue, and the other 2, you're gonna create after we finish this lesson, okay? The only way to learn is by practicing. So, practice a lot, take all the database, all the files that I'm gonna provide for you, do everything again, and then you can create the other 2 options for yourself, by yourself. Let me remove this. I'm gonna change this. Instead of using this type of card, I'm gonna use another type of card, which is the multi-row card, like this. Time? All right. And this, let's go to the Format tab. We're gonna make our data labels. I was saying something in Portuguese. Let me compare with my other case right there, just to make the same type of colors, size, and so on. Okay. Data labels are gonna be white, 26, nice, and font family, Seagull bold, like that. Now, I'm gonna remove my category, okay, like remove. Also, in my card, I'm gonna hide my bar, and I'm gonna add a title, like this. Let me see the title I have here. Operational revenue, font color, background 12. Operational revenue, font color is white, and the size 12. And let's place it right there. All right. And now let's create our revenue over time. In order for us to use any comparison over time, to compare anything along the time, we have to create another table. We have to create a date dimension table, or a calendar table, as you prefer to call. I'm going to call as a date dimension table, or date table, okay? So it's the following. Imagine that when we have, tomorrow, for example, we're going to have more than one fact table, revenue and expenses, okay? And if I want to compare revenue and expenses over time, I must have a table that connects to both fact tables. So this table is going to be our date table. We're going to build a date table right here. And then this table is going to be the one that connects, that filters both the revenue and the expenses tomorrow. So let's get prepared for tomorrow and build this date table today. There are several ways to do this. Actually, three main ways, right? By bringing this date table from your source, by creating this date table in Power Query, or using DAX. Remember when I said that I don't like to use the DAX language to create tables? This is an exception. This is the only table I create using DAX. Go to the Modeling tab, New Table. New Table. I'm going to call Date. And we can use a function that will create one row, one day for each row, one date for each row, based on the dates we have in our model. This function is called Calendar Auto. Enter. We're going to see, there you go, another table, right? Date. Let's go to the Model tab, and now let's find this date table. There you have it. All right. We have to relate them together, right? We have to create this relationship. But there is a problem. I have two columns for date in my revenue table. Due date and order date. You have to choose one of them in order to be the active relationship. I can have only one active relationship between the same two tables. In my opinion, in this case, as I am building a sales dashboard, but I'm worried about the finance information, I'm going to use the due date. Of course, my client, my customer, can pay me later or not paying at all. I'm not worried about that. Let's just drag and drop date to due date. Always double check. Always put your mouse to see if it is okay. By doing this, you guarantee everything's going to work. Save it. If you want to see this table, you can go to the Data tab, Date, and there you go. One date for each of the days we have in 2019. 365 rows. All right. And now let's create our trend for revenue. We can use the area chart or the line chart. I like the area chart, okay? Area chart. I'm going to place it right here, like this. And let's put the date on the axis. Nothing happens because I have to put the value as well. Revenue on values. Look at this. Power BI automatically broke this date into 4 categories: year, quarter, month, and day. And you can drill down, as we did in our matrix, the same way. You can go to the quarter, to the month, and to the day by using those icons, those buttons right here. I'm not worried about year, neither quarter, because I want to go right to the month, like this. Let's change some things, some stuff here. Let's remove our title. I don't need, because I know it's revenue, right? I don't need to replicate this information, to duplicate. So you can remove your y-axis. I don't need. Okay. You can remove your title, like this. This title for the y-axis and the x-axis as well. So just open there, remove title. Also the y-axis, remove this option right there. There you go. Of course, this is not very beautiful because these months the name of them are big, right? I could make something more interesting by creating a short version of this month name, the short month name. We can go to the date table and build this, for example, by creating another column. As it is a dimension table, do not worry about creating columns in dimensions. You have to be worried about creating columns in fact tables, because fact tables are tall. They have lots, millions of rows. Here we call month name, and it's going to be the short version. I can use the format option, the format function, pass in the date, and the format is going to be month, like this, 3 M's. Enter. Let me see. Yes, it worked. Now there's a problem with this. There is an issue. Let me open a new page. And I'm going to place this column in a table, okay? Like this, month name. Look at the sort order. It's alphabetically, right? Alphabetic. April is the first because of the A. September is the last one. We have to inform to Power BI that this sort order for month name should be different. Should be based on the number, on the month number. So we have to create first our month number as a column. New column, month number, like this, equals to month, okay? Function month, passing the date as an argument. Enter. And by selecting the month name, you can sort by month number. Nothing's going to happen here, but then when you go back there, it's correct. Jan to December. Let me remove page 2, delete. Let me save it. We made some important steps. And for this, instead of using this column, date, I'm going to use directly the month name. There you go. Much cleaner, right? And I'm going to use the white color for this. White color for my data colors. The color is on the card, correct? Let's finish. Let's finish by using by placing another information, which is the best month. Where is the best month here? I think it's this one, right? November. If I want to place this value in this card, what can I do? I can do the following. I can create another measure, or maybe, let's do the following. Let's copy and paste this card. I just copy and paste. I'm gonna put this a little bit smaller, the text size, because it's not the main information. It's just another information. It's not so important as the total. Okay, 14. I'm gonna rename, or maybe just change the size for 14, like this, yes. And for the title, actually, it's not gonna be Segowi bold, only Segowi UI, like this, there you go. Look at this, there is a very nice option in Power BI for filtering values based on top N and top N analysis. And we want this, in this case, the top one, right? The first, the best month. If we go like this, by selecting this card, and in the filters pane, I have the option to add the month to this visual, and to filter this value based on the month. Let's see how. I'm gonna use the month name in this filter. And then if I filter for November like this, look at the number there, look at the number, 1.1 million. Okay, but how can I do this in an automatic way? By changing the basic filtering to top N. How many top N's? One, top one. You want to filter based on which value, which measure? I could filter, for example, based on the gross margin value if I wanted. In this case, it is the revenue, right? So I'm gonna place the revenue right there. Okay, and then apply filter. Look at the number, 9.6 is going to be 1.1. So it's automatic right now. But the name is not correct. The name is still operational revenue. Let's change this to something dynamic as well. And then we can create another measure to the title for this card, the title of the best month. Let's call title best month equals to. I'm gonna put in, right, how do you say? Quotes, double quotes. Best month, like this, close. And to concatenate with the value of a month, with the name of the month, right? And then it can be, I can use a function to grab, to select the value that I'm going to select, that I'm going to have in this context with the function selected value. Selected value of which column? The month name, right there. Enter. Okay. How can I use this value right now? If I put this value inside the fields, you're going to see it worked. It works. It works. It works like this. And then maybe I can remove the title. And the card title can be white. There you go. 14 or maybe 12 without Segoe bold, only Segoe UI. So to finish, let's put our name of the page, right? Put some text there to identify what we are covering in this page. Also, some slicers, so I can filter month, sales team, supplier, year, whatever I want. And that's it for now. That's it for today. Tomorrow we keep going, we continue. So let's go. I can put some text on the Insert tab. Text box. Let me put the text right there. Revenue and margin analysis. Revenue and margin. This, make it bigger. Other font like this. I think this is okay. I'm using another one. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, it's okay. Like this. Okay, slicers. Okay, slicers are these visuals right here. Slicer. Click on it. Let's use three slicers. Month name. So let's place the month name in the field. And then you have this option for a list that I want to change by going to that very small icon, very small arrow, and change to drop down. Nice, drop down. So let's change the colors. Let me see here. Let's change the field, the items, the content of the checkbox. The font's gonna be gray, a little bit gray. In the background, something like this. No, darker. Yeah, it's fine. Just make some alignments. And then there you go, okay? When you choose, for example, March, and you want to choose April as well, you have to use Control by default. To change this behavior, you have to go to the Format option, Selection Controls, and uncheck this. Then it's gonna be without the control, right? You have this eraser to clear the filter. Now, once I did this, I like to Control-C, Control-V. Control-C, Control-V, and again. This one is gonna be my sales team, which is called only team here. Change it. This one, I remove month name, and I will place the supplier from product. Supplier. There you go. Retail, wholesales, and so on. Nice. You can also add some images, for example, your logo on Insert Image. And I think we are done for today. So your challenge is the following: to download all the data, all the files, all the materials, and build the exact same report. If you can, until today, much better. Still better, even better. If not, you can do it later, okay? But try to do this, try to practice, try to do it by your own, and then you're gonna learn for sure. Let me show you my final page, okay? I'm gonna also give you the print screen for this page. Let me just print like this. Save directly, and there you go. I'm gonna give you this print screen, sorry, also, so you can make everything look like this. For example, these are the icons for changing pages. We're gonna see this tomorrow. Also, you can see that I have here something called tooltip. I'm using tooltips. They are extra information that I can put inside the visual when I hover the mouse on a month or whatever wherever I am. Also, we're gonna build later. So this lesson for today was more an overview about everything in Power BI, from extraction until visuals. Steps 1 to 5, right? Tomorrow, we're gonna focus mainly on the modeling phase and the visualization phase. I think we are done. Actually, also the transformation phase, right? We're gonna see everything again. That's it. We're gonna see everything again tomorrow, and I think everything again on the next days as well. Fine. What else can I say? I think that's it. What do you think? What did you think? Tell me on the chat. I am on the chat with you during this lesson. If you like it, post on your LinkedIn and mention me there. Also, post on Instagram, wherever you can. Go do this. It's going to be good for you because more people can see your work in this. And without marketing, you are no one. Without showing your work, you are just another normal person, right? Okay, guys, let me see if I have anything else. Let's see. This is going to be with you as well. That's it. Let me go right here just to finish our job for today. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope this helps you in your work, in your career, okay? I'm pretty sure that if you follow everything I did in these 2 to 3 hours almost, right? You're gonna be already a new professional in the market. You're gonna be a reference in building and creating reports like this. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. So, see you tomorrow.